What's up, everyone? Casual Bruce here with my Super Bowl reaction and recap video, man. Tom Brady. 7 rings seems impossible. Really didn't expect this. I mean, I had the Chiefs winning 31-24. Wouldn't have shocked me at all if the Bucs won, but just not in that fashion, not to dominate the defending champions, not to expect Chiefs offense to be shut down like that. I didn't think either team's defense was really great, but I thought both teams could play opportunistic enough on defense to maybe see a couple turnovers, kind of keep the game close, keep it like low scoring relative to what, the spread initially was. Man, Bucs defense, man, if there was a possibility for a whole unit to win an MVP, it should have gone to the Bucs defense as a whole. You know what? Tom Brady can't deny his greatness. I mean, 7 rings is impossible. In a 32-team league, it shouldn't be possible. It just shouldn't happen. He made the plays when he needed to, and this game really made me understand. Like, I've been critical of him. I've been kind of more so on the Tom Brady truther train than, the GOAT train, so to speak, even though I will admit, yeah, he's the greatest ever. It's undeniable. You're never going to see 7 championships by anyone in probably any team sport, honest to God. Like, look at LeBron, look at anyone else coming up in any major sport. 7 rings will never be touched. It just won't. It's just an impossible record, especially to have it spread across 2 teams. But, this Super Bowl really showed me that his greatness and what he does for a team expands so far beyond really just what he does on the field. Because, again, I'll get more into this, but again, it's not like he was outstanding throwing the football. Again, like, it's just, he keeps winning games in spite of not being the most talented thrower in the world. That's obviously, you look at guys like Mahomes, Rodgers, Russell Wilson to a degree, It's just, I saw one clip after the game in the locker room. Look at the defense; they played outstanding, and I mean they should be out there and trying to, claim their dues. But I saw a clip of Devin White cutting up to Tom Brady, and he posted on Instagram. And he's like, "Oh, thank you so much, TB. My first ring, your 7th." Like, that's just supposed to show you, like, yeah, Tom Brady, he did what he had to do. He played a good game, not a spectacular game. He played a really good game, solid. But the defense was outstanding, man. They should be the ones, out there trying to cap on that, but they, all they can do is just thank Tom Brady. Like, just his presence, his fucking presence in there is just like it's an aura that just, it's like it just, the second he enters a locker room, it just instantly, it's like a power up, a boost for everyone else in the team. I can't explain it. No one can explain it. It's now translated to 7 rings, taking a team that was 7-9, still very good offensively last year, but now able to just run the right kind of offense for any given situation. That's what Tom Brady's the best at. He gets an early lead. He knows how to command the offense. I'm sure it seemed like he's making like a lot of like checks to the line of scrimmage, probably check from runs to pass to run, and it probably worked out more times than not. Like, he just controls the game so well. Even though he doesn't have to even throw the football well, and I'll get into more of that later, but to get into the more X's and O's of the game, man, like, you look at the Chiefs and they had their chances. I really thought with them having the ball there to go into the, to end the first half, it was 14-3. If they could at least get a touchdown there, make it 14-10, get the ball back to start the second half, they're set, but again, the defense just, Chiefs O-line was in shambles. Tampa Bay was all over them. Barrett, Sue, Levante David defending Kelsey like a corner, man. He stuck to him like glue, even though Kelsey had obviously over 100 yards, and that's, you could have penciled that, you could have written that in ink that he would probably have 100 yards in the Super Bowl, but still, on the plays that need to be made, Kelsey wasn't there. Just Mahomes had a rough time, and even still, man, like, he was bad a lot at times, but he made some throws, and just escaping. As a Seahawks fan, I see this with Russell Wilson every game. but I see Russell Wilson just get sacked lately. Like, he lost his escapability that Mahomes has. Like, Wilson runs around 20 yards deep in his, behind the line of scrimmage to get the sack. Mahomes is finding a way to get out of it and throwing the ball practically parallel to the ground. He's throwing the ball to the end zone, and Williams drops it. Like, there was at least 3 egregious drops I can think off the top of my head. The Williams one there in the end zone when Mahomes is basically on the ground. The Kelsey on third down right after that goal line stand that Kansas City defense had. And then Hill had another drop. I don't know if it was maybe in the red zone as well. But again, they're all 3 crucial plays. I think at least like they were all like third down or like really crucial plays in the game. And then Hardman also had a couple really terrible drops. Like not terrible. Like it would have been tough catches, but in the Super Bowl, when you're like a key guy in that offense, you got to make one of those, man. Like you got to. And even Hilaire had a couple out of the backfield that were like, he at least gets a hand on it, right? You get the ball, hits the palm of his hand, like maybe at least bring it into you. But they're like, they're getting their one hand on the ball and like swatting away like as if they're playing defense. Like the receivers did him no favors, the offensive line did him no favors, and he was off his game. But even if, let's say so that's at least off the top of my head, like 5 balls that should have been caught that had big impacts on the game, like for first downs, still would have been. Tampa Bay's defense was still so good, but at least would have made the game more interesting from a, neutral perspective. Obviously, I had money on the Chiefs, but at least would have made the game interesting. Like wasn't really rooting per se for either team. I didn't invest a lot in the Chiefs because I knew I'd be stupid to put a lot of money on the Chiefs, and then you're betting against Tom Brady. How could you do that, right? So I had that in the back of my mind from the start, and I'm not surprised the Bucs won. I'm just surprised by how much. And again, like, Brady didn't have to be spectacular. Once again, he had a pretty poor entire second. Like, how you play poor for a whole second half and you're in the Super Bowl? Like, Brady's the greatest. I get it. It's just, but these things keep happening for him. And it just speaks to, I guess, it speaks to the aura he brings to the team. What he just does to his team. He has some mysterious power we'll never understand. That lifts his defense up, makes his defense make clutch plays, make his receivers make crazy catches, like the Edelman one and the Atlanta Super Bowl comeback, and just, it's just something about him, man. And like, really, Kansas City that's really on Kansas City more than Brady. Kansas City never made Brady have to be great because they kept committing fucking penalties. And again, I'm rooting for Kansas City, and there's a lot of narrative right now about the referees, and I wish, they would have maybe kept their whistles a little bit quieter, a couple ticky-tack calls, but they were all still penalties. Just maybe you wish, like, in a Super Bowl, you let the teams play a little bit more, but they were all still penalties. The Kansas City DBs, Breland especially, fucking Kevin King 2.0 right there. Just holding, grabbing, clutching. Until you see Brady making those tight throws, stop holding, stop grabbing, just run with them and try to maybe get the ball. Brady just threw 3 interceptions last game. You could probably get 1 or 2 if you stop mugging the receiver and maybe just run with him. That's the thing with Tampa Bay's receivers. I said it before the game. Tampa Bay's receivers are being a little overrated. I think Kansas City had the better receiving core because they can run by people. And I include Kelsey as a receiver because he blocks fairly well still, but he's hardly tight end. He's a receiver effectively. So it's like Hill, Kelsey, Hardman, Watkins, Robinson versus, Godwin, Evans, Brown, Miller. And I give that edge to Kansas City because they have, obviously Scotty Miller's fast, but you saw he didn't really have much of an impact in this game. He didn't catch a ball. But the Chiefs can run by you with their receivers. Evans and Godwin, they're great and all, but they're not that fast. So the Chiefs didn't need to clutch and grab as much as they did. Like, they were ticky-tack, sure, you would hope they would have not called those and maybe let them play, but there were still penalties. They didn't need to happen. Like, until you see Brady actually making those tight window throws, just run with the receiver. Don't grab him, just run with him. Tease him a little bit, like, give Brady a little bit of opening, and maybe you can jump and grab the ball. But you're just mugging them, it's one thing if you see Brady making those throws, then okay, geez, and then maybe now I have to grab and hold because Brady's going to make those throws anyways. But Brady had it shown you that he was going to make the throws. He came off an NFC Championship game where he threw 3 interceptions. Make him make those throws. They didn't. They didn't make it hard on him at all. It's one thing to not rush the passer. Like, they couldn't get pressure on him. So I think they had 1 sack early in the game. Frank Clark got to Brady, but after that, he had clean pockets as he always does in every one of his Super Bowl wins. The only time he's been pressured in a Super Bowl is against the Giants, and what happened? 2 losses. Chiefs got no pressure on him at all, and the DBs just clutched and grabbed and held and committed penalties instead of actually seeing, oh wait, let's just see if Brady really still has it. Can he make those throws? And we don't. As great as he is, he's the greatest ever. He won his 7th ring, but we still don't know if he can flat out throw the ball and win a game based off of just out throwing an opponent, because he just didn't do it. He just committed less mistakes. So that's great. That's all he needed to do. His opponent was making mistakes. His opponent was throwing the ball in harm's way, taking running amok, injured, bad toe, and all that. Like, Brady did what he had to do. He just played a clean game, but he didn't straight up throw his team to victory because the Chiefs didn't give him a chance to. So you can't fault Brady for that. He just took what the defense gave him. The defense was giving him 10 yards, 15 yards, 30 yards, and penalties every drive. So he sees, Mike Evans is getting held 15 yards down the field on this, deep slant route. I'm just going to throw the ball 5 yards over his head because that'll attract the attention over there. And now it's a penalty. Of course, great. Man, move the ball down the field some more. Like, he had it easy the whole night again. Like, teams just continue. They never learn. And Brady's running the same plays as he did in New England with, like, the quick little 1-yard pass screen, all 3 receivers go and block. Usually it's a running back. This time it's a tight end, Brady, the ball, boom, 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 screen pass, 20 yards down the field. Like, it's just the same fucking plays. For 20 years, Brady's been running. He's been doing the same shit. He commands an offense better than anyone ever, and it's not even close. But he's still not the greatest thrower of the football ever. But he's won 7 rings somehow, not having to be. So maybe we need to reevaluate what makes the great quarterback. I guess we don't, because everyone universally recognizes Brady as the GOAT, even though I don't know. It's still frustrating because I still don't think he is the greatest thrower of the football ever, but there's clearly so much more that goes into winning Super Bowls than that, and he shows that. So, as a Seahawks fan, I think Russell Wilson's a better thrower of the football than Brady, but the last half of the season, he couldn't command an offense worth shit. Didn't help that he had horrible play calling, but he lost complete ability to run an offense. So there you go. Brady's the GOAT. Kansas City made life extremely easy for him on defense, and they couldn't do anything offensively to even sniff getting close to him in the scoreboard. So there you go. They'll be back next year too. They're a young team. They got to re-sign Barrett and Godwin, I think. I would let Godwin walk, honestly, unless he is willing to take a reasonable deal, because, again, he only got 9 yards in the Super Bowl. So I think he's not as great as maybe people would have early on, like, kind of hyped him up to be. He had a good year last year with Jameis. But definitely re-signed Barrett, I would say, for Tampa Bay, because he had a huge impact. He was all over Mahomes. Him and JPP, and again, just a wrecking crew. So definitely want to re-sign Barrett, and if they could do that, maybe draft a receiver instead of just, overpaying for Godwin. They'll be back next year, probably in the thick of things. I expect them to at least make the NFC Championship game next year. Brady's not going anywhere. He said that. Their defense is quite young, besides obviously Suve, but Levante David, obviously, but he was amazing tonight. Levante David was probably the best defensive player on the field tonight. He was all over the place. Yeah, they'll be back next year. Fuck, man. Let's hope my Seahawks can get there and we can maybe get some revenge on Brady for the just disastrous Super Bowl loss in 2015. So it's that, man. Life goes on. Death, taxes, and Brady winning the Super Bowl. What can you do?